giving away.
Hey, using the ballot, I never have, so I ain't got flyers. Mitch, you haven't heard anything from the girls?
I sent my wife a message and she didn't respond. That makes perfect sense.
Bill, hey Bill, Bill, have you heard anything on the lady?
They won.
They won, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you all. We're gonna first start, we have a public hearing tonight, and it's regarding vacating a 15-foot alleyway located between Lot 8 and Lot 11 in Block 7 of the original town of Harrison. Do we have anybody here that wants to speak on that? Okay. Nobody here, we'll close the public hearing and proceed to the council meeting. Call to order. Roll call, please.
Chris Heath.
Present.
Mary Jean Krieger.
Present.
Mitch Magnus.
Here.
Linda DeWall.
Here.
Bill Boswell.
Present.
Heath Kirkpatrick.
Present.
Joel Williams.
Present.
Wayne Cone.
Here.
Okay, Pastor.
Okay, yes. Would you stand and join me in an opening prayer? Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the city of Harrison. God, we thank you for all of our public servants that protect us and work so hard to keep the city going. God, we thank you for these positions that you have given us. God, give us wisdom to do the business of the city, to represent the citizens, and do everything with integrity and honor. And we thank you for your grace over the city of Harrison in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Join me in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Good girl. Okay, I think you all had a copy of the minutes in front of you there. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion and a second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, got through that. Okay. Let's go to the department reports. Let's start with the big one, the police.
All right. The first thing I want to touch on tonight is the medical marijuana ordinance that we're having second reading tonight. Did anybody ever have any questions from anybody that since the last council meeting regarding that? Okay. I knew y'all discussed maybe even doing the second and third reading tonight, and it really don't matter to us if you do or not. Right now, we don't have a need. It's not really established here yet. The dispensaries are opening. I think I talked to someone the other day. There might be 15 of them in the state now, or 16. Anyway, but we've not had any problems. So if y'all want to do the second, third one, that's fine. And the reason I'm asking because when I get done with my report, I have to leave tonight. So I just wanted to touch base on that first. So, all right. All right, monthly report, we'll go through that real quick. This, of course, is January. In the month of January, we worked 36 traffic crashes. There's a misprint on here. We've not had any fatality accidents. The last one we had, and I don't know why. I don't know why that number 3 is on there. But I just got done checking, and the last one we had was in December of last year, and we just got the results back on that, and that was a medical that caused that actually crash. It wasn't technically it was a traffic crash, and it was a fatality because the person died, but it was medical conditions as to what caused that. Citations issued, month of January is 243, warnings issued 482. Total calls for service is 1,567. On the next page, school resource officers. The first 4 there, counseling sessions with students, 16, with parents, 9, faculty and staff, 10, and classroom lectures, 39. I do note at the very bottom, they did make 3 drug arrests at the school. They're working on that. We're working on drugs, all departments. Next page, warrant division, 206 warrants were served. There were 61 physical arrests on those warrants in the month of January. Next page, animal control, he answered 74 calls. Next page is the start of the detective division, and if you'll turn to page 2 of that, at the bottom, they worked 54 cases, closed 32 of them. The property stolen, reported stolen, was 9,139. Property recovered so far is 1,572. On the next page, the narcotics offense, there was 9 total offenses worked, $2,387 seized. You'll turn to the next page, the monthly report for the community engagement officers. They had contact with 73 local businesses. They worked 2 special school events. In addition to their normal visits, they had 46 of those, just different schools in Harrison they visited, and they reached 2,750 people. The last page is the narcotics report, the totals: drugs seized, methamphetamine, marijuana, THC, possible fentanyl.
We ain't got the crime numbers.
Okay, and pills. The weight of the drugs seized was 156 grams of meth, 246 grams of marijuana, 30 pills, THC wax and THC oil, 5 grams. Value of said drugs, $15,600 on methamphetamine, $2,460 on marijuana, $300 on pills, and $50 on the THC wax, for a total of $18,410. There was 9 misdemeanor and 9 felony arrests made off of those seizures and investigations. 1 gun was seized, 9 marijuana pipes, several empty baggies, 7 meth pipes, 6 sets of scales, and 4 rolling papers. All right, any questions on the monthly report?
I'd like to make a comment, if you don't mind, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, please.
Sat on this council for a number of years, and I just want to, I know that this takes time to produce. I don't know what resources are involved, but on behalf of council, I want to thank you for providing this each month, and it's very, very good information.
Well, and I'll just tell you, Miss Lita Price puts this together for us. She uses different programs that we have in our computer system to get the totals. Like I said, I'm not for sure on the fatal accidents. We hope we don't have any, but that would be almost a yearly number on there, because we just don't have that many in town.
Well, at least the public's informed about what the police department's doing.
Right, exactly. All right. I know y'all, we've seen what our narcotics division has done in conjunction with the FBI and the DTF, the 14th Judicial Drug Task Force over the last year. And that being said, I've got Chief Cagle and I went to Federal this past Monday at the request of the FBI. We had 5 officers in our area that was awarded what's called a director's certificate. And it is a certificate of appreciation from the Bureau Director himself, Christopher Ray. And I'll just read this to you real quick, and then I'll tell you the officers. It's U.S. Department of Justice, Federal Bureau of Investigation. The FBI extends its appreciation for your outstanding assistance in a joint investigative effort. Your contributions were immeasurable, and you have the gratitude of the FBI for all you did to help accomplish the objectives of the investigation. You can be proud of the role you played, and I join my associates in whom you've worked in congratulating you on a job well done. And our local officers that received this award is with the Drug Task Force, Bobby Braden, Drug Task Force, Cody Middleton, Harrison Police Department, Matt Odom, Harrison Police Department, Jack Gentry, and Jeff Thompson, who was with the Boone County Sheriff's Department and did work with the Drug Task Force. He has since retired. But 4 of those officers are here tonight, and 2 of them are down in the back.
You're not gonna stand up, Matt?
Matt and Bobby don't care to be on TV. The 2 officers in the back, we didn't want them on film, so that's why they're in the back. But anyway, we're really proud of them and the accomplishments that they've done. And based on that, the cooperation we have between the Sheriff's Department, the Police Department, the Drug Task Force, State Police, that's what we have to have, because the crimes don't stop at the city limits. It don't cross state lines. I mean, it goes everywhere. And these officers being attached with the FBI, that allows them to cross state lines. So, I mean, you know, we're not held by boundaries as we used to be. And speaking of the 14th Judicial Prosecuting Attorney's Office, who actually, I guess, coordinates or is responsible for the Drug Task Force in this area, which is made up of 4 counties. That's Boone, Newton, Marion, and Baxter. Right. In the last 14 months, that office has given the city of Harrison over $30,380 that we've used to buy equipment and technology for our officers. So I know at the beginning of last year, as soon as I could, I assigned a second officer to work with the task force. And what we've received in return is just almost as much as a officer's salary. So I think that is very commendable on the part of David Etheridge and his office. So he's the prosecutor for the 14th Judicial District. We also have a couple of other officers that we want to recognize tonight. I know I've spoken to y'all a lot about our K-9 division and what they've done. They actually also received awards from the Bureau of Investigation, and I'm going to let DTF Commander Bobby Braden present those awards and tell a little bit about what our officers done.
I want to see the dogs.
First.
We might get the dogs back.
Beginning in the summer of 2018 through late spring of last year, we had a pretty time-intensive investigation going on in the area, about 2 to 3 county area. And it involved a methamphetamine ring, basically operating out of Boone County for the most part. During that time, we were using all of our officers from across the district, basically, that are assigned to us, plus the 2 officers that work for me. It was taking all of us to try to work this investigation. And so from time to time in that investigation, we would call on patrol guys, in particular the K-9 officers, to help us with that investigation as far as making stops, traffic stops for us. And so we're all in unmarked units, so it's safer for a marked unit to make a stop generally. It gets the bad guys' attention a little better. But during the course of that investigation, what do I got first? Okay. This officer, K-9 officer, in this particular incident, we had gathered information that there was a guy on a motorcycle that was going to be traveling through our area that possibly had a large amount of methamphetamine in his possession. One, we wanted that methamphetamine because we didn't want it hitting the streets. And 2, we wanted that bad guy off the streets. So we relayed the information to Patrolman John Morgan with the Harrison Police Department and his K-9, and they were able to come in, intercept that motorcycle on a traffic violation. During the course of the traffic stop and the investigation, he was able to arrest the subject, I believe, for driving on a suspended license. At the time, I believe there was no indication by the K-9 at the time, or maybe a slight indication that there were drugs. Officers searched, could not find the drugs. Here at the station during the booking process, Officer Morgan went above and beyond what most of us do. He's sitting there. There were some items that the guy had in his possession. In this day and age, I want to tell you, any item you see can be a hidden compartment. They're manufactured professionally, sold on the internet every day. Officer Morgan was manipulating one of these items and uncovered a pretty good substantial amount of methamphetamine that really helped us in our investigation. It really bumped our investigation up another notch and gave us some additional resources from that. Officer Morgan? So this patrolman, kind of the same thing. We had developed information that a guy was actually, this is a little bit different. This guy was a part of our investigation, was a partner to the guy that Officer Morgan had arrested. This guy, we'd received a credible threat that he was armed and that he was en route to, he had made a threat against a person, and that he was en route, all armed, to basically take care of this other person. It was a credible threat. And so anytime we have a crime against a person that may occur or is going to occur, that trumps any drug stuff. Drugs, that's one thing, that's a crime against the state, but when we have an actual crime against a person, we have to act on it right then. And so we knew what the person was probably going to be driving. We contacted Patrolman Alkire with the information, told him that there were some things with this vehicle that he could develop calls pretty quickly based on some mechanical issues with this vehicle. Officer Alkire was able to intercept the vehicle here in town, ran the K-9 around the vehicle, the K-9 alerted, found an amount of, I think, methamphetamine and maybe some pills, and the firearm that the guy had. And so that too bumped our investigation up a notch. And so, Officer Alkire. These awards are given by the FBI for the special agent in charge out of Little Rock office. And there, again, it's not something any officer gets. You have to go above and beyond the call of duty to get these awards. So it's something to be proud of.
Thank you, Bobby.
Well, I just wanted y'all to meet the real workers, the one that does the job. I just get to report on it, and I'm thankful that we have these men, dedicated officers that we have to do the job. So with that, does anybody have any questions regarding police department, police report? Well, if you think of something later, Chief Cagle said he'll stay. But anyway, I've got to do leave. So, all right, thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Okay, yeah, let's go, Wade.
Just a couple quick updates. Today, our architects, WD&D, submitted the schematic design for the new Public Safety and City Administration building. I think they're getting pretty close to having things the way we're going to need it for our departments going forward. Those designs have been transmitted over to Davis Construction so that they can do the schematic design cost estimate, and we can see hopefully that it's within what our target budget is. Otherwise, we'll be back to the drawing table trying to figure out how to get a little bit more money out of it. Hopefully things are ready to go for sometime in the next month or two to be bringing those designs to you, as well as what the projected total project cost is and funding mechanisms and all of that, so we can get formal approval to move further down the road on the project. The only other project I really wanted to update you on is we have run into our first potential delay on Phase 1 of Goblin Drive. It includes a new bridge, and anytime we're doing a bridge that crosses a floodway and a floodplain, we've got to do hydraulic design, hydrologic design. FEMA has models that they use to determine where the floodway and the floodplain are. We've requested multiple times that they provide that model, and they will not. So we're going to have to develop that model ourselves, which will take a little bit extra time, probably add another month or two before we have any real design stuff to start looking at. So, and with that, I'd be happy to entertain any other questions.
So when you foresee the inception of the actual changes to the roadway on Goblin Drive?
Our goal is still to try and get construction started this year. With FEMA already causing some trouble, and we're still going to have to go to the Corps of Engineers, I've got concern, but we're going to continue to push to try and at least get the project bid out.
And so are you talking about starting it during the summer when school's out?
I
or
would prefer to do especially the bridge work, depending on what final alignment we end up with. The bulk of this I would prefer to do in the summer months. But there is work, you know, if we're not able to, and with FEMA not giving us the models, it could slow us down quite a bit. You know, we can still bid the work out, and there's a lot of work that we can be doing through the school year and be ready to do a lot of stuff next summer when school's up. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Wade, thank you. Chief?
Good evening, everyone. Chief Lowers was unable to make it tonight, so he requested I come present the January report. At the back of the packets you should have laying in front of you, I have a copy of the business license ordinance that we had requested at the last meeting to change the definitions and better define the definition of an employee and then landlords. I'm just going to kind of break down what the monthly report in front of you is. For the month of January, the fire department completed 128 fire inspections. 62 building inspections was completed by the building inspector. We issued 179 business licenses for the month of January. 16 clean premise issues were addressed. And the operations division department responded to 184 emergency incidents, 9 of which was outside of the city limits. And our guys conducted 219 hours of training for the month of January. Does anybody have any questions?
All right. Thank you.
There you go.
Okay, let's go down to Luke.
Well, I don't know that I'm going to get you to stand up and clap for me, but you might jump up and down for joy after this. So, can you hit the next slide for me? I sent out a message, but I just kind of want to let everybody know, especially everybody out in the audience, because we don't get it published all the time whenever I just get it to the email part of it. So we had a banner here, and I think the word I used was insane for the sales tax that we received for January 2020 last month. It's actually for December sales. I think we've determined, but it's the highest month we've ever received in sales tax, and not only the highest month, but the highest by a large margin. As you can see on there, we were $17,000 in the county portion of our sales tax, and almost $10,000 in the city portion of our sales tax, higher than our previous highest month ever. So that's about 8.5% more than our highest ever. Plus, it's about 22 to 24% higher than budget, which is also nice to see. So it's another $65,000 there above what we had budgeted already. And if you remember last year, this was the year that everything got taken away from us. So we're $139,000 over where we were at last year. Huge, great numbers. I wish this would continue on forever. I know that doesn't usually happen, but January is typically our biggest month, so don't expect this next month, but hopefully we'll continue our trend. Can you hit the next slide? That is our trend. Kind of that's the county portion of our sales tax. As you can see, it continues to go up and up. And then the city ones, the same thing. I mean, you're looking at the same percentages there for the most part. You see that last little bit there is our big uptick there for January. So just kind of graphically, I want everybody to see that we are trending up. The internet sales tax appears to be kicking in, although we're still struggling with how much more the county has in sales and retail sales than what we have. There's lots of different things. It looks like internet sales tax may be one of the biggest culprits for that part of it, which is great for the county. Love it for them. sales tax that we wouldn't necessarily be getting. So, great for Harrison, great for Boone County. Hopefully we'll continue to see this trend of 2 to 3% every year and continue to see that increase.
Good deal.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great. We were all really excited about that news. David?
I'm not having anything. Let's see what has a question.
Chuck?
Yes, sir. Very excited to hear about the sales tax. I'll be bringing my report in July, I guess, and to do halfway through the year on that. Couple things. One, I was going to tell Officer Cagle, I'm too bad Chief Grady, but we've had 3 people try to break into our concession stand at the complex, and we've been able to, through the resource officers at school, be able to identify them and catch them through Officer Mills and Officer Tolan. So it's a great resource. So I just wanted to brag on that because we've been able to catch every one of them.
So I think it's very interesting what you shared with me earlier is they'll have cameras, but the resolution is so poor, they can't really see who people are. But Tolan and Mills can kind of see what they're wearing and know these people. So they're able to pick them out because of that.
So I just wanted to brag on them. Let their name out because they've helped us immensely in that aspect. So we had a great pickleball tournament a couple weekends ago. I know you guys have been hearing me talk about that. We had 46 people participate for our first tournament, and they want to know when our next one's going to be. It was a big deal for that weekend, and a lot of the ages. I think the ages were 1872 that participated in that tournament. So we like that, and we're going to keep having them, and hopefully they'll grow. A couple things I wanted to bring. I went to a meeting about a YMCA, so I wanted to let you know. I talked about it with my commission this past week. The information we got, especially with the Planet Fitness coming in, is that aspect of bringing a YMCA is probably not going to work here in Harrison, because now instead of a 2-year operating cash up front, now they want a 5, and there hasn't been a YMCA open in the last 3 to 5 years. Actually, they closed over 100. So the director was pretty much, when I asked that question, with the programs that we offer, he was wanting to know why we would be interested in bringing a YMCA to this town. So I don't think that we're going to be able, because we were looking at the partnership any way we can do it, but I just don't think it's going to happen. So I wanted to bring that to your attention, because I know there's been some questions on Facebook, but it was pretty much just a dead idea after the meeting with their head regional guy from Oklahoma. So I don't know anything other than that. That's just my feeling. Like I said, we had another meeting and we kind of said the same thing about it. So after that one, so just want to bring that to your attention. I do have some very good news. We replaced a few lights in the youth center, and we found out that Energy is doing a deal with some of our local suppliers here in town where we can replace all of our lighting in the youth center with LED without having to change out the whole light. We're getting the bulbs for $48 a piece. So instead of paying for 30 bulbs to be working, it'll be like we're paying for 6. We turn on our lights with what the new programs and things we're offering. This is going to be a big deal. But we have a local business in town that's already called me and wanting to probably support that. I don't pay for that requires. So I don't want to say yet that it's not a done deal, but like I said, I had a call this week and I think it's going to happen. And that's about a $2,000 expense. So I'm very excited about that because we've been doing that for a long time, especially with utility final charge. So, and the deal is at the end of the year with Energy, so it's going to be replaced this year at some point. We should have all the light poles replaced by the end of March that we had to replace and recycle. We've been battling the weather, so Jerry Farmer, my head maintenance guy, we feel really confident we're going to have everything ready to go by the end of March. It shouldn't affect our tournament schedule at all for this month, so I'm very excited about that. But like I said, we're having to do some things to get that done. But definitely want to brag on that. And as you can see, Wade's done his part on the Wonderville Park, so it's in progress now. Great thing coming, so we're excited about that. We should start the bathrooms probably
past, naturally, they're concerned about their own health and being exposed to it, so I think this is a positive for some of the employees.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Somebody told me the other day that half of the vaping that takes place probably contains marijuana. And this person, I forgot who the person was, but they were a,
Chief Cagle, any comment?
I would say that is probably pretty accurate. That'd be an accurate
Really?
figure.
Really?
You
Yeah.
do see a lot of that.
Wow.
you don't smell it when
You
you're
don't smell
vaping.
it, it's just a vape.
Maybe you were the guy that told me.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that something? Okay.
Wow.
Wow.
How do you
I know. Let's go, Mary Jane?
fall over it?
Nothing?
I think my people have already covered everything that needs to be covered.
They did a great job, didn't they?
Yes, and I'm so proud of our police department for their dedicated work. And of course, my fire department.
Oh, yeah. Fire department.
They're my heart.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right.
You're in there.
That's why she's having heart issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's move down to Chris Ed, please.
Yes, tonight we have a bid waiver request for a new roof at the water construction office. Were you wanting to speak to that at all, or?
Just because the old one
Not
leaks.
necessarily available to answer questions. We discussed it at committee. We looked at the two different quotes that we received, both from local contractors, with the low being Bowser Metal Roofing.
So with that, I would make a motion that we put this ordinance on its first and only reading by title only.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Put this by title only. Okay. Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Motion to enact emergency.
I'll go ahead and read it.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
An ordinance waiving competitive bidding requirements and authorizing the Harrison Department of Public Works to enter into an agreement with Bowser Metal Roofing for roofing improvements at the water and sewer construction office.
Okay,
Motion to adopt.
okay, we have a motion to adopt. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay,
Yes, and we want a motion to enact an emergency clause.
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second on the emergency clause. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, good, thank you.
That's it.
Thank you for that. Now we go back to, hey, Mr. Boswell and probably Wade.
All right, the first thing we have, of course, is the ordinance now in regards to public hearing that was held earlier this evening in regards to the Mike Woods property. Wade, you anything on that?
I do not. It's just, it is a ordinance. I believe it's a 3-read ordinance.
This can just be a one-read
Okay.
ordinance.
Good.
That's good. Yeah, very good. They've waited long enough.
I make a motion, we place it on its first reading by title only then.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Suspending the rules for that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Make a motion, we suspend the rules and place it on its first and only reading by title only.
Okay,
Still got a second.
okay, motion, second with Joel. Any discussion on this matter? We've had it a long time.
Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay,
I make a motion that we suspend the rules and enact the emergency clause on this.
And I need to
Ordinance.
adopt.
And
Is it a resolution or is it a?
It's an
ordinance.
Yeah, so I'll read it. So an ordinance calling for a notice of hearing on the vacation of 50-foot right-of-way line
Right.
between block 15 and block 10 of Holt Fair.
was wrong.
Is this wrong slide?
I got the wrong title. That's wrong.
So we'll start again and strike anything that I said. An ordinance vacating a 50-foot right-of-way line between block 15 and block 10 of Holt Paradise.
Vacation.
now I make a motion that we enact the emergency clause and
Motion to adopt.
make a motion to adopt.
So moved.
okay, we got a motion and a second to adopt. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay.
Now we'll enact the emergency clause.
Motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, I think, is that the end of Mike Wood? Okay, good.
Mike's a happy man.
Yeah.
You should be happy,
Oh, my gosh.
because
Yeah. I know what it takes now to do something like that. It's amazing. All right, Mr. Boswell.
This next one's just a simple resolution, and we heard the presentation from Carol Boone. Simply, this will go up so we've got more money to be able to do some expansion. Carol Boone, Waiver, anything further?
No, I would just only add that, you know, their presentation that the rates would not go up as a result of this were based off of rates that they're seeing right now. If something happens before they're actually able to go through the refinance, there is an outside possibility of them having to do something with rates, but it's very, very unlikely.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution by title only.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay.
Thank you. The next item, Mr. Mayor, is the marijuana ordinance on its second reading. Frankly, I don't see any reason for us to wait any longer for this to go into effect. Between the first and second readings was adequate, and due to the fact that those gentlemen that put their life on the line, that just gives them one more tool.
Here, here.
So, Grant, help me here. We're going to suspend the rules for the second reading, and we're going to do second and third reading by title only.
Suspend the rules in place, the ordinance on its second and third reading by title.
That's what I did.
Okay.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for that. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
An ordinance regulating the ingestion of medical marijuana by persons possessing a state-issued medical marijuana card within the city of Harrison, Arkansas.
Make a motion to adopt.
Second.
Motion to adopt and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Make a motion that we enact the emergency clause.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Is that the end of marijuana?
That's the end of marijuana.
All righty.
The resolution grant for obtaining some police cars, I think the max amount was $21,000, right? I would make a motion that we approve this resolution.
Second.
By title only.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this matter? It's free money.
Does it have a certain dollar amount, or
It's in,
It does.
does it say 50%?
No, it says 21,000.
21,000.
Yeah. 21,000. It actually states 20.
Yeah, 21,000. Luke, it's in the,
You okay with that?
Sure.
Okay. Good.
And the other amount would be minute, so I think that's okay.
Okay. Good. All right, so we had the motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, got that. Still with you, Bill.
the business license amendment definitions, it was on the back of the fire department's packet.
Yeah.
I've looked at it. I'm not real sure what we need to do here, other than we need to go ahead and just get this amendment in the system and move on. Grant?
I think it depends what the fire department wants, but basically the fire department came to council with 3 clarifications. One was how to define how many employees were in a business, 2, how to define a rental, and 3, how to define 501c3. I think the council has resolved to its satisfaction the first 2. The final one remaining is how to define a 501c3. As I understand it, I don't think any new changes will go into effect until 2021 anyway, so I'm not sure if there's a rush. And I think just for purposes of clarity, rather than passing it with the first 2 things and then coming back again and trying to figure out 501c3, the best
I
course
don't
is
think
to try to...
501c3 is on this.
Well, it's not...
I realize what's up there, but the definitions was the only thing.
But the definition of a 501c3 is one of the 3 issues they came to us with, and so I
But
think...
that's not what we're asking for tonight.
Well, I don't know if we know what we're asking for. I think it's just a matter of a housekeeping thing of how it was stated on the agenda. I think it's up to council to decide if they want to pass an amended fire safety or.
We can pass it with
amended, yeah.
the two items.
All right, you can pass it with the two
If you want,
but it doesn't
but
have
if we're
any
gonna
crap-
come back and pass something different with the 501c3.
It still leaves a 501c3.
Brand's saying we might just wait and pass all three of them together.
I mean, unless the fire has I have no preference, I just think for housekeeping, if we pass it with the first two, then we're doing a partial correction because we still have the lingering issue of the 501c3 definition, which isn't resolved.
We think we can forward that to committee next month.
Right, and
Further,
I thought we were doing with the 501c3.
that's it, we just kept it on here for that reason, and then Grant made shared with me tonight, it might be best to keep them all together, if you want. It makes sense to me.
Up to you. It's also up to you guys. I mean, we can enforce this the way it is. We just wanted more clarification in the ordinance for the, to define what an employee is. But like you said, at some point later in the year, whenever we may have to address the 501c later on.
If the council passes the first two, so the employee and the, what is a rental, would you all start enforcing it now, or are you gonna wait until 2021?
We'd enforce it now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, that's a different,
All right,
that's a little different than what you were
That was
thinking.
my understanding all along.
I think we need to proceed with that.
With these two.
With those two, that's correct.
The reason being is it's clarifying a number situation because, an employee is part of that business, or the employee counts as the owner of the business.
Correct.
In regards to numbers.
Correct.
And the same way with the commercial and residential. I go back to my original motion that we approve the two clarifying definitions as they have submitted. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that matter?
Since it's an ordinance, don't we need to place it on its first reading by title only?
You can do it that way. You can also just do an amendment to the ordinance, but we are changing the ordinance itself, which is why I kind of thought it would be nice to do all three at once. But we should probably place this new one on its first reading by title only, and if the fire department feels that they want to go ahead and start enforcing, then we should suspend the rules and place it on its second and third as well if they want it to go into effect, and then decide whether an emergency clause needs to be done as well. But it is an ordinance, and it is changing.
This would be amending it, so in order to be.
Yeah. I don't see any reason why we should wait on this. We're just talking about the employees, 0 to 49, the owner included. And then the other one.
Well, not to be a stickler, then Mr. Boswell will either need to rescind his motion or restate it as placing it on its first, second, and third readings by title only.
As amended, we need to suspend the rules. Make a motion that we approve the ordinance with the amendments, suspend the rules for first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion.
Did I get all those?
Yes. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I need some clarification. Okay,
So it's a motion to.
are we going to do, are you going to just do a page, an amending page to the existing ordinance? Or are you going to rewrite the entire, are you going to
I think it's an amendment, but the whole ordinance will be rewritten with the new, I think. I think.
And that's the way it's presented to us.
And the only reason I ask that is because when you do an ordinance, then you have to also publish it. And, you record and publish all those pages.
That's why I kind of encouraged to do all three at once, but if we need to.
So I didn't know if you wanted to do an amendment to the ordinance, which the amendment would be a page long, as opposed to the business license ordinance, which is 15 pages long.
Jeremy, is this holding you all up anyway, the way it's written and you're forcing it now?
No, ma'am, it is not at the moment. We ran into a couple issues with the definition of what an employee.
One or two people questioning your, yeah.
So
Now, let me ask you a question. Grant, you need, here's my question. The ordinance states in the title that we are passing an ordinance repealing and replacing. Doesn't say we're amending. It says we are passing an ordinance repealing and replacing ordinance of the City Code of Harrison, Arkansas, regarding the city business. There's nothing in there about amendment.
I think, I mean, that's because the template used is the original which repealed and replaced the one we had before. I think it's just a matter of, perhaps it's my misunderstanding, but it was my misunderstanding that tonight was going to be a chance to talk about getting the 501c3 and trying to pass them all at once. I think I misunderstood. I understood Mark Lowry at the last meeting to say this was not going to go into effect until, and I think that would be somewhere in the minutes, but it would not go into effect until 2021. So my understanding was we were just further discussing what a 501c3 was.
Well,
I have no preference.
Yeah, I think the discussion was as far as what's going to happen in regard to this next year is strictly 501c3. It has nothing to do with the other two items. That was my understanding. That the other two items that are highlighted in our presentation tonight from the fire department is the employee and the residential and commercial landlords. That's the only two things that we're dealing with.
And yeah, I really don't know what Chief Lowry had. I just know that we was going to present the ordinance and get those definitions changed for the issues we ran into. But like I said, we can enforce the ordinance as is right now for the rest of the year. And if we want, if you guys want to have discussion about 501c, then.
Yeah, but you don't want it challenged at some point, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, we still got 10 months this year to go.
We can, I think we can, if you want to rescind your motion, we can simply move to amend the ordinance as we had already approved with these two particular changes, which would probably help Jeff with the publication. Just simply add
from a dollar
amendment. It's not, that idea is not going to be reflected in the packet that the council has, because that wasn't what was prepared.
I'm fairly easy as to what we need to do here. I just
There's no immediate need. Why don't we just pass this on to the committee meeting next month? Mark will be back. It'll give us a little more time if we need to redraft the ordinance.
I mean, if council wants to, if council has an answer to what is a 501c3, theoretically, in a month from now, that could be, if it's addressed in committee, in a month from now, it could be passed all together.
All three together.
I'll just rescind all the motions and let's send it back to committee.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. I like that.
Chickens.
Darn fire department.
All right.
Well, now also,
I think that's probably necessary.
and to make a statement, a point, committee meetings are not, there are no minutes at committee meetings.
No.
So there won't be anything official.
Oh, I see.
There's no official committee. No official committee.
There's no official minutes. There's our recollections.
Notes for reference.
Notes for reference.
We just got to make sure Mark doesn't leave town ever again.
Good idea.
I hope not.
In regard to the, and I think in regard to the 501c3, it needs to go back to committee because we were nowhere close to having that.
That's right.
Rendered when we were visiting about it.
I believe that was put on the council, just in case you all wanted to discuss tonight at council.
That's right.
Yes, that's a great
Yes,
place.
We weren't expecting that
We
at all.
weren't expecting any kind of decision made on that. It was just.
Plus, we're going to need some recommendations from, I think, the fire department in regards to looking at the 501c3.
We do. We'll get that. Okay, let's move on.
Resolution, the council's code of conduct. I make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Okay, we have a.
By title only.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? I think that was pretty well clear cut. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
I believe by reading over that, we'll all need to sign that every council member will have to sign off on that, so.
I'll prepare the resolution and give it to you.
Okay. Then the last item we have is the approval of the contract with the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, there we're just asking again for council to approve the mayor to sign that document.
Make a motion to allow the mayor to sign the contract with Economic Development for Harrison Chamber.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I will make the statement that I appreciate Mr. Largent and what he does in the chamber and what they do on a daily basis and the mayor's input on this. One of the things that Mary Jean and I and a number of other council members have experienced with the city the citizens of the city of Harrison is a lot of times they may not agree with us, once again, that money is not being spent correctly. And so it's incumbent upon us as the council to hold the chamber responsible for making sure that there's some sort of accounting for that and that the public sees where that money is going. And that's the only discussion. A lot of people, if you don't do anything for economic development, you're not going to have any economic development through that process. But we need to make sure that the chamber is supported as much as we can possibly do it.
All right.
Well, when the mayor, and I appreciate the opportunity to respond, let me tell you that when the mayor signs that contract, that is integral to the contract. It does require a quarterly report, which would be made probably in April, give us January, February, March, and we'll do that follow-up then in April, a written and verbal report.
Well, very much like the city departments are now working together as well as I've ever seen, to Chuck's point, and with the city police department, I think the chamber, the CVB, and the institutions within this community are working better the further we go along.
Yeah, I shared with somebody, I think just the other day, that Bob and I communicate every day.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Text, talk,
Right.
whatever. Meeting, ribbon cutting, whatever it is, we communicate every day. And we definitely don't agree every day, but we communicate every day. So I think we have a good communication. I had lunch last week with Melissa.
Right.
And we had a good discussion about the chamber. When we had the meeting together, the joint meeting with the congressman last week that Bob put together for us, and it was wonderful. So, yeah, right now we're full speed ahead, and it looks good.
And I would just like to take a second to report to the council. The chamber instituted a new program this year to allow our chamber investor members to have one-on-one conversations with our elected leadership, that being the city, the county, and our state elected leaders. Yesterday, we were able to have that with Mayor Jackson and all the department heads. I would like to report to the council, as you will probably read. I think it was most successful interaction between the community, the chamber investors, and the department heads, the administration, was very well received. We intend to do that with the county moving forward. So I just want to thank the mayor and the department heads for their participation yesterday. It was really good. Good kickoff.
Good deal. Thank you, Bob. Yeah, we were all very pleased. So thank you. Okay, so where are we at on that one? We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. All right, that's the end of that. Let's move down. I've got a few comments I'd like to make. Upcoming things. We have, hey, we're going to have some discussion at committee meeting about salvage yards. Wade has been working on that for us, and we're going to ask the committee to consider some things. So hopefully we can get something that we've wanted to take care of a long time remedied. We're also going to have Matt Bell's going to talk to you folks about enforcing the sales tax that goes to CVB, and that's 1% restaurant and 2% hotels. No issues with hotels, but they have probably 20 restaurants that are continuously behind by big numbers, 4 or 5 months. Yeah, Mary Jean, I don't know if you or Heath would like to comment on that. It's been ongoing forever.
And it's always the same people.
Same people.
Same people.
They're going to ask us, and I've already reached out to Grant to see what we can do, and hopefully we'll have some recommendations for you, something we can do to enforce them to pay that. And we've got some ideas.
That's very aggravating that, they're taking the people's money and then not putting it where it's supposed to go.
Yes. Right, it's not even their money.
Right, it's the people's money.
Yeah. So I think we're all on the same page here on wanting to do something, we just want to make sure
But it's always
there
very
is something we
safe.
can legally do to enforce it. In addition to that, we had a meeting today, the police, John did, with a group that's going to promote Dr. King's daughter. Right around the corner, we're talking about 5 weeks away. Bernice King will be coming to town and speaking. It's going to be a big event in town, and we're making all the arrangements and precautions. John gave us a report today on the planning, and it was wonderful. So they did a great job.
There was a good coverage in the newspaper today about that.
Was there?
Yes.
Okay, it's going to be
And a
promoted
picture.
real strong. She's bringing 54 people with her, something like that.
I think so. They have 46 rooms rented.
46 rooms rented that night, so big event.
Oh, that'll help CDB.
Yeah.
So, with that said, any other comments, council? Anybody in the audience want to say something? Glenn, all good at Highway 65 North?
Very good.
Excellent. Good deal. Thank you all for coming. Motion
To adjourn.
All hers.
Come on,
Thank you.
Heath.
Thank you all.
That's my job.
Well done, Grasshopper.
Bob, did you want to?
Have a signing ceremony.
Yeah. Hey, good evening. Would you summarize this?
See y'all later.
Good night.
Call for you
got some
and
girls
bring
coming
in
up.
2 witnesses. Is that right?
All right.
Organize next week.
See you. As always, my pleasure.
I know where